Again, I'd like to welcome everyone to How to Launch a Better Website in 20 Minutes. My name is Fanny Barrientos. I'm a marketing specialist here at ProSites, and I'll be the person who will be taking you on this journey. So let's go ahead and get started. On the agenda today, let's talk about why a website is important first, and then we'll talk about why it's better. I will also be presenting a demonstration on how you can build a better website with ProSites. And then, of course, we can't talk about websites without touching SEO, so we'll be speaking on local search engine optimization. And at the end, I will be giving you a couple of resources that you can consult after the presentation if you'd like to learn more about websites in general. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about why a website is important. Well, one, a website is important because it is open 24/7, meaning that prospective patients don't need to call you or need you to be in the office if they have any questions. They can learn about your business, submit questions, schedule appointments, and interact with you with your business presence without having you to be there. And a lot of people, after take the time to research dentists after work, and that may be when a lot of your offices may be closed. So if you don't have an answering service, of course, a website is that much more important. Furthermore, a website is easy to maintain. Updates are less taxing on a website. You can log in, make whatever updates you need to your website, and publish instantaneously. This is compared to, of course, prints when you need to lay out the design and wait for the proofs to come back and then approve them or make some tweaks. And it's an ongoing process back and forth on updating print material. So, a website is a lot easier to maintain. A website is also the cornerstone of digital marketing. This is the hub of any of your online marketing, whether you decide to expand to pay-per-click dental advertising, or if you're interested in SEO, if you do anything with social media, really this is where ultimately all of your prospective patients will end up regardless of how they find you online. So you should make sure that it looks exactly and feels exactly how you want it to. Furthermore, it holds the majority of your information about your practice. It introduces you. And most consumers today will do research online before they seek you out or call you. So, of course, you want that website to be there. Speaking of representation online, this also represents your brand. So what you want your website to do is to inspire the same confidence that your prospective patients may have by walking into your office. You want them to know that your business is trustworthy, that it's clean, that they're going to have a good experience there. And a website is a great way to convey that message to people that are researching you online. Um, of course, it provides information so that, as people are researching you, they're more likely to contact you after completing their research. And it helps answer frequently asked questions. That those questions may be around insurance or, or what time you are available or whether you take, uh, young children, if you have a pediatric dentist available. Those types of questions people can consult your website for, so they save some time themselves and then save you some time by not having to pick up the phone and answer the questions. And then, of course, ultimately your website generates leads. You want people to come to your website and submit a form to let them know to, make an appointment with you. So that's really what all of this is adding up to. Okay, so let's talk about what makes a website better. And the answer is you have to optimize your website for patients and search engines. They're equally as important. When you think about potential patients and search engines, what you end up doing is by thinking it through, you're going to create the perfect website for them. So let's talk about what building a better website for potential patients actually is. That ultimately comes down to user experience. Now, user experience is defined as the overall experience of a person using a website, especially in terms of how easy or pleasing it is to use. So some of the contributing factors to a person's user experience on your website would be design, how does it look? Navigation, how easy is it to find the information that the person is looking for? Obviously the content, which would include pictures and the copy on your website. Is the information relevant to the question that I'm seeking an answer for? And furthermore, is it mobile friendly? Can I find, read, and understand the information from my mobile device? Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into design. So there was a study that was actually published by Forbes where they found that design elements are exponentially more powerful than content in terms of mistrust. That means that people judge the aesthetics of your website, and by the aesthetics, they judge whether that website is going to be trustworthy or not, or whether that they deem that information reliable. And actually, when participants of this study were asked to describe why they mistrusted a website, 94% of the comments were related to web design elements, while only 6% referenced the specific content. So people made snap judgments based on the design. Okay, so what are some elements that can cause mistrust in your website's design? Well, the first would be busy or outdated layouts. Busy as in, maybe you have a little bit too much content on there. It's not very well organized. And then outdated layouts, if your website looks like it was put up in the 90s, that's going to cause a little mistrust. Pop-ups or flashy ads. We've all had experience with pop-ups and, banner ads that are flashing in your peripherals, and nobody enjoys that. Small or difficult to read print. This is especially important in this day and age when most of research is being conducted on a mobile device. You want your font size to be big enough that it could be read comfortably from a device. And then on the flip side of a busy layout, you have a boring design, usually lacking color. And then the last thing would be slow load times. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys an example of a website that is actually not that bad, but there are some elements that could be updated in terms of design. One being, the colors could probably be updated a little bit with a little bit more to the background. What you see here is what we call Flash, and that's outdated. This does not show up on mobile devices very well. It does something funny with the layout. It usually sort of messes with the page's layout. So a lot of websites have moved away from using Flash. And then, down here we have the navigation. This is kind of not the best place to put navigation, which I'll go into detail a little bit further. But, there are some things that could be done to improve this website in particular. Okay, so let's talk about navigation. So research done by the user interface engineering company found that people actually can't find the information they're looking for on a website about 60% of the time, and that's mostly contributed to poor navigation. So some common navigation mistakes, and just to clarify, when I mean navigation, I'm referring to the navigation bar that typically shows up on top of the websites that shows you all of the different pages that you could visit within the website. So common navigation mistakes could be using a non-standard style, so putting the navigation bar somewhere other than the top of the website, or if you're looking at it on a mobile device, on the left side of the page. Having too many items on the navigation bar. Did you know that most people are actually not going to remember anything with more than 8 items on the navigation bar? That's probably, so your items should really be 8 items or less. And then there's actually a wrong order for your items on a navigation bar as well. You want your most important pages to be at the beginning and at the very end of your navigation bar. So really the overall rule of thumb for navigation is to not make your visitors think about where they need to go. Make it easy for them to find what they're looking for. Okay, moving on to content, and really this is referring to not only the copy but the images, but really we want to talk about the copy in this presentation. So one of the pitfalls of content that some people seem to run into is some pages actually have no purpose. So what is it when you're writing a page, you have to think about what you want that visitor to do once they find that page. And that's what we call a call to action. Is that page specifically for booking an appointment? Is it to learn more about a specific procedure? You know, having just text or buttons that lets them know what the next step is gives a page purpose. We have pages that sometimes have too much copy. So some small businesses fall into this category. They put too much copy on one page because they're trying to explain everything that they do, which is great, but there is a balance. You want to have enough copy on there that it conveys what you're trying to say, but you also want to make sure that it's concise, digestible, and gets to the point, especially since visitors' attention spans are, very short nowadays. And I touched on this. The flip side of that is not having enough copy. So you want to make sure that your messaging establishes what they're getting and why they want it. And then, of course, like any other professional copy that you may be reviewing, you want to make sure that your content or your copy is not sloppy. Be aware of grammatical mistakes or, anything that is obviously, blatantly wrong grammatically, because sloppy copy can actually make your business look unprofessional and careless. We don't want that to happen. Okay, and moving on to mobile. So a mobile website now is actually um, more important than a desktop website. So desktop traffic, or I'm sorry, mobile traffic surpassed desktop traffic back in 2014, meaning that people were now doing more research on the iPhone on their couch rather than walking 10 steps over um, to their desktop computer. So I wanted to give you guys an example of what a mobile-friendly website looks like. A mobile-friendly will ultimately maintain the integrity of your desktop site, and it'll just look good on a mobile device. Here we have an example on the left where you can read the copy. The navigation uses the 3 bar lines, which are pretty standard here for a mobile device. That is a industry standard to let people know that this is where you can activate the menu. And then it has some quick icons in case people want to call, schedule an appointment, email you, or drive to your practice. And then, of course, we have the images and copy that's easy to read. On the right, here we have the navigation, which is not mobile friendly at all. People would have to pinch and zoom in order to navigate these buttons. The form here makes it difficult to fill out on a mobile device just because it is so small. So, mobile friendliness is very, very important. All right, so let's move on to a demonstration. I'm going to touch on all of these elements from using a ProSites website, which I have for myself. So normally what you would do if you wanted to set up your free trial, you would go to Try It Free here, and then you could fill out this form so that it has your information, and then you'll actually select your username and password here. And then from there, the wizard will take you step by step to choose your design. I am actually just going to log into my account. I can sign in here. Okay, and that's what the dashboard would look like. This is where you would be taken after you've initially chosen your layout for your trial. And so let's talk about design first. Design is actually the easiest to update on a ProSites website. So here, this is my current design down here. This is what I would have chosen as I was setting up my trial. But really, you can choose your design as soon as you want to. If you change your mind immediately after setting up your trial, you can choose any of the designs from these thumbnails here. I'm actually going to choose this pink one because I like pink. So once you've chosen your design, you go up here to publish, and it will immediately publish your new design. You can update these as quick as much as you want to. There's no limit to how many times you can update your template. And the website is now not the brown design, but this pink and purple one. Okay, so let's look at navigation. So your navigation will automatically be updated based on the pages that are on your site. This right here lets you navigate to your pages and will show what's on your navigation bar. So that's automatically updated. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 items on my navigation bar. That's probably as many as I want. And then if I want to put a page of what we call a tier 2 or under a specific button, then I would just move this down, make this what is called a tier 2 page, and then I can preview it here. And now the appointment request page is under the contact form. It's that easy. In terms of content, so most ProSites or your ProSites websites will automatically come with content that you can also update yourself, and I would strongly encourage you to make it yourself, your own. But you will already have pages that you can work off of. Obviously, you want to make sure that you update your contact information because this is where people will go to find your practice. And then, so I'm going to go ahead and publish this here because, of course, we want to make sure that your website is mobile friendly. And in this particular case, I mean, all of our templates are. So here's my website on a desktop device, as you see it here. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hit F12. And then don't worry about this coding on the side, but what F12 does when you hit it while using Chrome as your browser, it will actually show you what it looks like on different types of devices. So let's say I want to check out an iPhone 6. How does my website look on an iPhone 6? Oh, looks pretty good. Okay, so there you go. Let's see, I did this in 5 minutes actually. I updated my design, I updated my navigation, and I could have added some content if I wanted to. And I've also checked to make sure that my website was mobile friendly. Okay. So, of course, let's move on to SEO. So what is a better website in terms of SEO? So search engine optimization, first let's talk about what it is. It's when really what you're doing is optimizing your website so that when search engines look at your website, they're more likely to show it higher in search engine results. So search engines will look at your website and websites linked to your website to determine how relevant your practice is to any given search query. And actually about 50% of local search ranking factors are dependent on a well-optimized site. So here are some things specifically on your website that you should be looking for SEO. The first is mobile compatibility. This is actually a ranking factor as of August of 2015. And then what we call metadata. So metadata is actually copy within the coded structure of your pages and your website that lets people know or lets search engines understand what it is, and that metadata will actually be taken and shown in a search engine results page with a particular tag called a meta description. So I know that's probably a little technical, but we actually have a great blog post that goes into that a little bit more that I will show you guys. And then obviously part of search engine optimization is dependent on the copy that's on your website, the actual words or text that's on your website. Because search engines understand what that copy is, and they categorize it under these search terms, and then they'll determine how relevant it is, depending on the copy, to show it to searchers. Another thing that's important is the URL structure. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your URLs have keywords in it, and actually with a ProSites website, once you start adding procedures pages, this URL will be taken care of for you. You don't have to go in and optimize anything technical. And then one thing that is actually really good for search engines are internal links. Internal links are what we refer to on your web pages that you hyperlink from one page to the next page on your website. So for example, if I was talking about general dentistry and I wanted to talk a little bit more about composite fillings, let's say, and I wanted to outline the differences between amalgam and composite fillings. I'm not going to go into that topic too much on a page about general dentistry that mentions it because, one, not only does it talk about something more specific that needs more information, and you may end up putting too much copy on your page, but also it's a slightly different topic, so that's going to confuse both searchers and search engines on what that page is about. So one way to fix that is by linking from my page of general dentistry to another page that's talking about or comparing amalgam versus composite fillings. And internal links, what they actually end up doing is it encourages spiders from search engines to find their way around your site and kind of like breadcrumbs and index the pages on your website. Okay, so let's go into a couple of tips for local SEO. The first one would be to claim and verify your Google Maps listing. Now, this doesn't necessarily have a whole lot to do with your website directly, but it is important, and here's why. By claiming and verifying your Google Maps listing, what you end up doing is you get access to the dashboard that lets you update the information on that listing. And one of the most important things to do on that listing is to add your website URL so that people can start coming from your Google listing onto your website. And it also helps link it up for Google so that they figure out who you actually are. So by verifying and claiming your listing, not only can you update your business information, but you can also make sure that the little red dot on Google Maps is in the right place. And you can edit that information so that it actually shows up correctly. And then, of course, you'll want to remove any duplicated listings. This is a very common problem for a lot of dentists where they'll have a listing on Google Maps for their practice, and then they'll have several other ones for each of the individual doctors. That's not necessarily violating anything from Google. That's perfectly okay under Google rules. But what it does do is it confuses search engines, and it technically is not a duplicate, but it counts it as one, and it'll serve one over the other or not serve it at all. And by having a lot of duplicates, what you'll end up doing is making it a little bit more difficult to show up in the maps listing results from an organic search, from the actual search engine itself. So, this is very important. If as soon as you set up your website and you have a domain for it, just make sure that you do your Google Maps listing next in order to get a head start on your local SEO. Of course, contact or update your contact page with the proper name, address, and phone number for your business. So whatever you are registered under as a business owner. Google will actually triangulate the information from Google Maps with the information on your contact page, especially if you've already updated the website to show on Google Maps. So you want to make sure that whatever information is here is exactly how it shows here. Of course, you'll want to keep track of Google Analytics. So analytics for your website are very important to understand what is happening behind the scenes. Google Analytics in particular is a free platform, and actually with the ProSites websites, it's automatically implemented. And you'll want to just start looking at traffic so you can understand what kind of traffic you're getting, and it'll even tell you how much traffic is coming from Google organically. If you're doing anything on social media or paid search, it would also tell you how much traffic you're getting from there. And then, of course, update all of the title tags on every single page on your website. So let me show you guys what that is. A title tag on our websites is a type of metadata that Google uses to show any search engine results page. In order to update that information, you want to go to Control Panel and then go to, let's see, Website Tools, Settings, SEO Tools, turn those on, and then go to the editor. So your title tags will be found here. You will automatically have a page title, but now you also have activated and meta description. If you don't turn those SEO tools on, this meta description will not be there. But it's very important to fill out. All ProSites websites are already updated as soon as they're activated with a title tag for your welcome, and they're uniquely written for you. A title tag for your welcome page, your procedures page, and your contact page. But you will also those are the only 3 pages that you will have updated. You'll want to go to the rest of your pages and add a title tag. And these are very easy to update. You just put in your business name. I'll probably want to put where I am. So, you know, let's say this is my business name. And then I want someone to know that I am a dentist in Los Angeles. So then I put a bar and then my business name. That's all you really need to do. You need to just mention that you're a dentist, or if it's on a procedures page, what specific procedure it's talking about, and then add your business name, and you've updated your title tag. And then for the meta description, just create a short description about the page, possibly using the keywords. So, for example, this would be find a dentist in Los Angeles. Now, let's say near the 101 freeway. So here I have my keyword is dentist in Los Angeles. It's already in the meta description, and then Google is most likely to show this in search engine results pages to let people know that they're in the right place. Okay, and then of course you can preview it there, or you can publish to save your edits. All of your edits in the dashboard are automatically saved, so you can always come back to it later if you're not ready to publish. Okay. So those are just some tips that you can do for local SEO. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, I encourage you to go to our blog where we go in a little bit more detail about each of these parts of SEO. Okay, and then last but not least, I did want to give you guys some resources to go back to so that you can learn more about your website. So here we have a few blog posts on website design, so feel free to look around. We do have a lot of ProSites on-demand webinars like this one will be. So if you want to learn more about PPC, SEO, social media, I encourage you to go there and pull up some of our on-demand webinars. And then we also have white papers if you prefer to read, or if you would like more material on all the same topics on social media, SEO, website design, anything that could affect your practice. And then, of course, I want you guys to feel free to reach out if you have any questions. You can contact us here to this toll-free phone number, or email service@prosites.com if you have any questions about this particular webinar. And then if you want to keep in touch and maybe learn about some more webinars that are upcoming, or any new blog posts that we put up, by all means, please follow us on your preferred social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, to learn more about any upcoming events that we may be having. Okay, so at this time, thank you all for joining us and taking some time out of your day. I will actually be hanging in there for a couple of questions to see if any have come through. But otherwise, thank you for joining.